Hi friends, Tessa here, the Colorist. Welcome back to my channel. Sorry for the mess behind me. I am going through a process of doing some renovation and reorganization in my house, and I am actually going to be doing kind of like a vloggy style video in the next couple weeks when I go to IKEA to get some of my supplies to be able to do some organization of the mess behind me, if you can see it. And so that is what's going on, but I just wanted to kind of show you guys a little bit of me on camera because I normally don't put myself on camera, and today I have no makeup on and I am kind of sorting that out. As I've gotten older, I have gotten different skin, so unfortunately with that I just don't wear a lot of makeup lately, so that's what's going on. But in the future I will be doing some more kind of on camera kind of stuff, but I just wanted to kind of say hi and kind of explain what I'm going to be doing today. Today I'm going to be showing you guys a little bit how I like to kind of play around with these Ohuhu markers that I just got and did a review on last video. So let's jump right into it and take a look and see what's going on with what I'm doing. And I am really kind of happy with how this process is turning out. I have seen kind of a little bit of detail of what I'm doing is I have seen, excuse me, my voice is cracking. I'm getting over a cold, so I apologize for that. But I have seen a lot of people kind of take watercolors and then layer them with colored pencils, and so I kind of wanted to do that with a little bit of my style, and I wanted to try them with these Ohuhu markers. So I have taken the Ohuhu markers and layered them with some FaberCastell Polychromos colored pencils, and I will like to take a look and kind of see what's going on. So let's jump right into it, and I will change the camera view and we will go into it. So here's the page they picked out, and it's from the Botanical Garden coloring books for adults, and I got this for my mom because she was gifted it and didn't want it, and so I thought my son would like it. But actually it turns out I really enjoy these kind of coloring books because I'm not attached to them, like emotionally attached like I am with my Angie Grace coloring books, and so I don't have to worry about messing it up or not finishing it, because for me it's more of, these are like kind of like my practice pieces, and I like that. I like the fact that I can practice on these ones. So what I was saying in the beginning of the video, this is me playing on with Ohuhu markers, the Ohuhu markers that I did a video on last week, and I am now showing you a technique that I kind of never really tried until I did it on this kind of test piece, and I am falling in love with it. I've seen so many people use watercolors and colored pencils or mixed media kind of stuff, and I even played around with some white gel markers, and I'm kind of loving this. I really like the kind of how I can layer, and it's really kind of therapeutic because it really allows me to be able to lay down a nice swatch of color. So let's do that. I'm going to color this leaf here, and let's zoom in a little bit and let's go for it. Unfortunately I got a little smudge stuff on it because unfortunately my son was playing around with it, but yeah, I really like this. I thought this was a cool kind of concept. So what I like to do with these Ohuhu markers, I like to kind of outline, or mostly any kind of alcohol based or any marker, it's always been just my kind of like thing that I did, was I outlined what I was working on, and then I go back and I color it. And I find that this pages, a lot of people are like, oh, I don't like the paper in these coloring books, but I'm finding that Angie Grace and a lot of these kind of like really kind of cool for like adult coloring books have really nice paper that I like. I'm not picky when it comes to coloring book pages. I just don't like that kind of like rough kids crayon coloring book pages. Those tend to be very porous and they tend to soak up a lot of ink, and so I tend to only use colored pencils or crayons in those, and I'm not one to use crayons often, and so when I do, it's mostly like I'll take a colored pencil outline, and I used to do this when I was in my youth. I used to take colored pencils and then mix them with crayons. So I would layer down like a nice colored pencil outline and then go back in. Unfortunately, I'm still getting used to the smaller nib on these bullet nibs that Ohuhu has, and I like them when I'm doing mandrels, and I like them when I'm doing smaller detailed work. But I'm not. It's kind of hard. I have to get back into that mindset because I used to work with a lot of just the. I think they were called the Pentel Artist brush pens. They're water-based markers, and I used to use those on those big, giant. They were coloring posters. They were like 30 inches by like, I think it was like 24 or 36 by 30 inches. They were like really cool, big, giant posters, and I would do that in junior high. I would in 7th and 8th grade. I would color those because one time when I lived in Washington State, unfortunately, we had a power outage in 1990, I believe it was 92 or 93, and it was like the president, I could remember it like so clearly, where I was in junior high, and it was the year that Bill Clinton got elected, and he was doing his inaugural speech, and the power went out for 36 hours, and so with that, as a kid, it was great because I didn't have to go to school. But the other fun part was during the day when we had light and not have to worry about candlelight, I would sit for hours and color these giant coloring posters. And so I thought they were fantastic. And I think that stuff like that just really appeals to me, and really just kind of like, maybe it's because of my ADD. I get hyper focused on one task, and when I'm in the zone, I don't want to get out of the zone, and so I just tend to just kind of go with it without even realizing what I'm doing, and that could be a detriment to me as an adult. So right now, what I did was I layered a light green, a dark, medium green, and a dark green, and these are the colors that I just used with the Ohuhu markers. This is my light 59, 47, 46 are the colors that I just used to lay down that kind of color, and I added a little bit of shading just with a little bit of the Ohuhu markers, and now I'm coming in with a variety of green Faber-Castell colored pencils, and I'm going to start doing some shading and kind of building that up. For me personally, I like to start with my lighter colors and build to my darker colors because it allows me to kind of figure out the intensity that I want to have on my pictures and where I want to lay my shadows and highlights. And doing the lighter color as your base does, for me, I found that it gave me some really nice shadows and highlights. And maybe I'm not pushing it far enough, because I have to say that I am kind of one of those scaredy pants that wants to, I don't want to get too dark and then can't come back from it. So I'm kind of one of those people. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to layer, and I did with the red rose here, I did blend that with a little bit of mineral, with some white spirit and blending stone. And so I like using that so that it gives it a smoother texture. But if you're going for more of a textured kind of look and want to kind of have that feel and like that kind of thing, and you're using a more textured coloring book, then go for it. Leave it. Don't do that step. For me, I just love having my tones and my colors real blended and having that really nice smooth gradation between colors and kind of building that up and having it kind of be a more cohesive, I guess you want to say, transition of color, and not have it so kind of chunky, or have it more or less blended. It's kind of hard to explain it to me for you guys. And I want to also apologize if the sound of this video is not that great. I'm sorry, I apologize for that, because my microphone that I was using for some reason decided to just go on the fritz, and it just didn't want to work with my camera anymore. And I don't know if it's a battery issue or if it's the microphone itself, but I am looking into upgrading the sound quality of this video, so I apologize on that. So I've just kind of built up that layering with the lighter color, going back and forth between light and dark, making sure that it all is blended out. And I'm not going to use any white spirits, because I kind of want to show you guys what you can do with some nice colored pencils and some markers. And you can probably, I don't doubt that you can. You could do this technique if you have any kind of marker that lays down that you can color over. I find that an alcohol-based marker works really well. So if you're going to do this with like Sharpies or big pens, go for it. And like I said last time in my Ohuhu marker, if you've watched that, the Ohuhus I'm finding they're cheaper in the long run. They're cheaper in the quantity you get, and I believe the style of marker that you're getting. And I'm just kind of trying to build up those shadows, and I have to admit, I am the worst person when it comes to actually adding shading to things, because yes, it looks great, but if you are very kind of particular about how your color is, where your light source is coming from, because unfortunately that is one thing that I want to work on, is actually stay true to where a light source is coming and how the light source is falling. Because for me, it's just, I color kind of in this kind of like zone, so it's almost kind of like I don't really pay attention to the light source. I might actually come back here with a little bit of mineral spirits, or the white spirit, because I am finding that for me on these cheaper coloring pages, it's really easy to overwork your marker, and just with that little bit of mineral spirit, it really helps kind of like not have to overwork it. Mineral spirit, it does help kind of get that and deepen that. So that is how I like to do these kind of colorings. Sometimes if they're layered, I like to take my colored pencil and exaggerate kind of that shadow around, and add in a little bit more kind of depth to that. But I'm finding that's starting to come, and it's starting to be overworked. So I'm going to try some mineral spirit. I know I said that I wasn't going to do that. Me, I love taking my blending stumps. I don't know if you can see that, but I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing this, but I take them and, oops, oh, I just dropped my glasses. Sorry guys. I like to take them. I know this is kind of weird. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit to show you. And I stick them in my pencil sharpener. I know it's kind of weird. I'm sorry, but I like having that really sharp tip. And so there's the sharp tip on that. And so what I like to do is take my, that's how I clean off. But if I'm in the mix of like need a real sharpen, but I just want to clean off my stump, I'll use this to kind of clean off the excess color pencil on those. And then I have an extra one, and I use that to this. I like to use, like, see how like that tip on that is not that sharp? I don't know if it's gonna focus. I take this and I like to use this so that I'm not wasting all of my colored pencils. I'm just kind of gently kind of refining that tip, and if I want I can push really hard and then I get a sharper tip on that, and I don't have to worry about sharpening my pencil. And it does, for me, I'm finding that it does give my pencil a little bit of longevity, and so I'm not like sharpening it down to like a stump and then I'm like, oh, I gotta go buy a new pencil. And at a couple dollars a piece, it does start to add up. See how I add that mineral spirit to that? And it kind of just blends it out. I don't know if you guys can see, but it does. It kind of smooths out some of those colored pencil line, the strokes of the colored pencil, and it just kind of takes all of that color and melts it together. And I'll tell you, if you're going to use this kind of technique where you're adding the mineral spirits to your coloring and you want to go back and layer, you can do that. It's easy, but I would let you know, please give your page a little bit of time to dry, because that does, the mineral spirit can leave, like, kind of take it a little bit extra time to dry once you activate kind of that oil in the colored pencil. I've only used this technique on my Faber-Castell colored pencils. So I'm coming in here and I know this is kind of a mistake, because when I do, you don't want to do that a lot when this is still wet. You can do it, but I would suggest not pushing very hard, because it will, because of the way that mineral spirit or white spirit works, it is kind of like a thinner, and it does thin, and it will make the tip, just that little bit that's on the page, that's soaked into these pages, will make your pencil kind of a little bit more creamier, and it does push that color around a little bit easier. So for me, to have a little bit more control, I let that dry. So what I did was I layered with a little bit of the Ohuhu markers, and then I added some of the Faber-Castell colored pencils to this, and I will have a link to all of these supplies down below. And I want to also apologize for the video and the quality of the audio. I hope it's good. If you guys like this video, please hit the like button down below, and if you guys want to get notified on my crazy rambling and my colorings, please hit the notification bell down next to it, and I will see you guys later. Stay colorful and happy coloring.